Good Monday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. If you are new to the channel and like detailed weather breakdowns across North America, consider hitting the subscribe button down below so you get daily content through 2024 and beyond on this channel. And also press the like button down below. It helps out more than you know. Let's get into the weather forecast here this morning, and you can see we are starting off the morning a lot warmer than we did about a week ago from today. We do see low temperatures this morning into the teens up here across the upper Midwest and into the Great Lakes region and the Northeast, and further south 20s and 30s here. You can see that freezing line across portions of the Southern Plains, the Dixie Alley, and across the Southeast this morning. As we go into the afternoon hours, that freezing line will shift northward slowly into the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, and the Mid-Atlantic as we go into the afternoon hours. So a much warmer day is on tap compared to last week. And as we go forward into the middle of the week, notice our rapid warm-up, our rapid turnaround behind our polar vortex here. We have warmer temperatures by midweek, and look at late week, folks. Yes, we could be seeing a major warm-up across the eastern two-thirds of the country and even into southern and southeastern Canada as well. So let's look here at our next major storm system. This is bringing some trouble across the middle of the country. We have winter weather advisories in purple here from the Ohio Valley down through portions of the Midwest and into the southern plains. Even winter storm warnings hoisted across southeastern Oklahoma, ice storm warnings as well down across this region. So definitely seeing a major system moving in. So looking at our precipitation today, that ice threat will quickly transition further to the north as we go through the day. As we see those warmer temperatures and that freezing line shift north, that means all rain further down to the south across eastern Texas, north Texas, getting across southeastern Oklahoma, much of Arkansas and Louisiana. But that ice threat will start to build across the Midwest into the Ohio Valley through the day today, and especially tonight as those temperatures fall. We're going to start to see more of that ice shield become more widespread across especially the Ohio Valley and parts of the Midwest. But the deep south is warm enough. We're above freezing, so our overnight time frame will start to see more rain and thunderstorm activity. And then as we go into Tuesday, that freezing line will move further north into the Great Lakes, and we'll start to slowly get rid of our ice threat even for the Midwest and the Ohio Valley and turn this mostly to all rain. Let's look here at our snowfall accumulation over the next 24 hours or so. You can see we do have light snowfall possible across parts of the southern Great Lakes region, especially centered around central and southern lower Michigan, maybe up to a half-inch worth of snow for places like Kalamazoo, Grand Rapids, Lansing, and even the Detroit region. But other than that, we're not seeing that much of snow with this system. It's an ice threat here on the cold side. You can see some very nice icing possible from the Ohio Valley down here through the Midwest and into the southern plains through your Tuesday morning commute. And you could see that some of these icing totals could be over 1/10 of an inch, locally 1/4 of an inch of ice here. So that's why we have some of those ice storm warnings and winter storm warnings further to the south here, and even those winter weather advisories for the accumulating ice. And as we move further to the north, the northern Ohio Valley, places like Detroit, Indianapolis there, Chicago, getting back towards St. Louis, around 1/4 of an inch of ice at most will be possible. And then even a trace to a glaze of ice is possible, even as far east here as northern Ohio, northern and northwestern Pennsylvania, and western New York State through your Tuesday morning commute. So this will be causing trouble through the week, so make sure if you are heading out the door for work or school as we go through the early and middle portion of the week that you do take it slow out on those roadways. Leave plenty of time so you can take it slow out there, because those roadways will be slick with those ice conditions as we go through the week. Now, as we go through the week as well, we're going to have 3 separate rounds of very heavy precipitation across the southern and eastern U.S. with this system as well. On the warm side, looking at the precipitable water values, we see that surge coming out of the Gulf of Mexico early this week here, and then you see by the time we get to late week, Thursday, Friday time frame, notice all that Gulf of Mexico moisture being lifted up and into portions of the Ohio Valley, the Mid-Atlantic, into the Northeast, and even southeastern Canada, Could get some of that Gulf of Mexico moisture by late in the week. And then as we go into the weekend, there's that third surge, and this time a little further south, but still inundating places like the Carolinas, Georgia, into Alabama and Florida with all of that Gulf of Mexico moisture. So what does that look like? So as we go through early on in the week, here is your round number 1 of moisture. That will come at the cost of some freezing rain and frozen precipitation to the north initially. That will change over to rain, and we'll see all rain to the deep south, even some thunderstorm activity. I wouldn't rule out even a couple of strong thunderstorms in this pattern as well, with maybe marginal to slight risk days of severe weather. Then as we go late in the week, a stronger surge of moisture. This is round number 2 that will lift further to the north, and that is actually going to push that freezing line further north as well. So this will be mostly rain across the United States, and some heavy rain at that, and that will be across the Northeast, the Ohio Valley, the Mid-Atlantic, all the way down into the deep south here as we go into later on this week. And then as we go into the weekend, we have round number 3 moving in with a moisture surge across the southeastern United States. So definitely seeing a wet go of it over the next 7 days or so. Here's your total precipitation expected through the end of January, through the 31st time frame. And notice across the Mississippi Valley on east, we're going to be seeing some very healthy totals across these regions. And the highest totals appear to be across these areas here into the southern plains and the lower Mississippi Valley. Some of these areas could be seeing up to around a foot of rain when it's all said and done between now and the end of January across portions of East Texas, getting into eastern Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana there into Mississippi. And then you can see more of those 1 to 3 inch totals with the rain across portions there, the Ohio Valley, the Mid-Atlantic, and down across the southeast as we go through the end of the month. So definitely a healthy storm system and trying to break our drought. See, here's the U.S. Drought Monitor that was released this past Thursday on the 18th of January. This is the very area where we need the drought to be improved, because we have extreme and exceptional drought, one of the 2 worst categories of drought on the Drought Monitor. So this is going to very much help in getting that improved as we go toward late January. And now let's talk about the long range forecast. Some interesting things to look at here as we turn into the new month of February. But before we look at that, the last few days of January, we're going to start to see more blocking and high pressure building across the northern tier of the United States and southern Canada, with a trough on either side of the country. And what that means is that with high pressure in place, we're going to have a lot of warmer air, warmer than normal. So our temperatures will be above normal to round out the month there of January pretty much for everybody across the country. And also with that high pressure system, you have a lot of sinking air, so you're going to see a lot more sunshine most likely, and a lot of drier conditions with those below normal precipitation values across the middle of the country there, with again those troughs on either side of the country providing portions of the mid-Atlantic coast with some rain, and even across the west coast and Pacific Northwest with some rain as we go in towards late January. Now as we go into February, as we turn the page onto a new month here, the first full week of February is starting to look interesting. We have high pressure blocking across portions of southern and southeastern Canada, as indicated by the orange, red, and pink colors here. And then with the blue colors, that usually means lower pressure, so we start to see more of that across the west coast, and that bleeds in across the southern U.S. and the southeastern U.S. for that first full week of February. And what that means is our temperatures are still likely going to be above normal with that high pressure blocking, especially centered into southern Canada, the upper Midwest, the northern plains, and the Great Lakes, much above average temperatures to start February. I do see above normal temperatures across the west initially, but I think as that trough begins to deepen out west, as we go deeper into the first week in February, we're going to start to see more below normal temperatures across these regions. Even though it does show the orange there, I do think some below normal temperatures will be favored. And you see more precipitation out west with that trough strengthening and coming in for that first week in February. More rain, more snow across portions of California, Oregon, getting into Nevada there, the Four Corners region, and then that will bleed further east into the south central plains, whereas the East Coast, much of the eastern two-thirds of the country, and in the northern U.S. at that, will be much drier for that first full week there in February. Now let's look here. This has been a while since we've looked at this. This is the NAO, the North Atlantic Oscillation, and this is basically showing where that we have the blocking further to the north as we start to see more of that drop negative as we get into the second week into February. And looking at the AO, the Arctic Oscillation, you can see that's also positive right now. That's why we're seeing some warmer conditions returning to the United States. But notice it starts to drop a little bit as we get closer to February, but doesn't totally go negative. We see that stay positive. It goes back positive for the first full week in February, but by the second week, we start to see that drop back negative, and that means a dislodge of some colder air will be likely. And all that cold air we have up in Alaska here, you saw a few days ago, those temperatures are 30, 40, 50 degrees below zero up here. That is going to be spilling south. Now, it's not going to be that cold across the west. We're not expecting 30, 40, and 50 below zero temperatures, but some of that cold air is going to bleed into the western third of the country into that second week in February. And then we have that blocking across southeastern Canada. So what that means is we're going to have more of a southern and an eastern storm track. So our low pressure system will originate across California. They'll move east towards Texas, and then they'll move up the East Coast as a classic nor'easter track as we go into the second week in February. And you can see with those precipitation amounts potentially adding up more across the south here as we have that storm track further south, and then lifting up the East Coast here with that precipitation into that second week in February across portions of the Mid-Atlantic, the Northeast, New England, and Eastern Canada, a more classic nor'easter type of track that we've been looking for. And if there's enough cold air in place, we could be seeing some snowfall out of this as well, and some decent snows. As you guys know, those stronger nor'easters can really get cranked up this time of year. So if we get some cold air in here and we get some snow, definitely could be some doozies across portions of the Northeast, New England, and the Mid-Atlantic. So we'll just have to wait and see how this unfolds, but just giving you the general big picture on what we could look for as we get into the first and second week into February. And obviously that will change moving forward, so I continue to keep you updated as we do get closer. Make sure to subscribe down below to the channel, especially if you like detailed weather breakdowns across North America. I'll keep you covered here. Make sure to press the like button down below. It helps out more than you know. Share this video with friends, family, and on social media, and I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their Monday out there.